Good evening. This is Stir the Fallout. You are hearing this. The signal has found you.
System.
Tonight, we align the static. We stir the wave. We do not panic.
Full
We
moon
broadcast.
authorization.
Spin the dial, embrace the thunder. Every whisper wants the crown. Chaos writes the nightly bulletin while the satellites look down. Stir the fallout! Spin the wave! Long lives what tyrants crave! Signal bright across the night. Crack the skyline with the light. Static in the storm. Turn the dial.
Hello, everybody. We welcome back to Stir the Fallout. This is Stir the Fallout. If you have, top stories, the static, the state of the static. We began tonight with our top stories. 3 developments currently unfolding across what analysts are now calling the narrative layer of reality. Story 1.
Events are now drifting unpredictably. Some experts blame statistical modeling failures. Others suspect what they're calling destiny volatility. One researcher described the situation this way. Imagine trying to predict tomorrow's weather while someone keeps rearranging the sky. Authorities insist the situation is being monitored closely. However, sources inside the Department of Mythological Forecasting admit something unusual may be happening. For now, officials advise the public to remain calm and avoid making major life decisions based solely on prophecy.
In other news, representatives from several major fairy tale kingdoms have formally requested union recognition. Among the groups involved, the Enchanted Workers Guild, the Dragon Fire Regulations Committee, and a coalition of princesses citing unsafe castle tower conditions. One dragon spokesperson explained the issue simply. Unregulated fire-breathing schedules are not sustainable. Meanwhile, the Big Bad Wolf released a statement saying he would like to stop being cast as the villain in every production. Economists say this could represent the first case of fictional characters organizing collectively. If negotiations succeed, future stories may include regulated hero work hours, standardized villain contracts, and mandatory lunch breaks during quests. Officials say talks are ongoing.
Our third story tonight comes from a coastal region where witnesses report what experts are calling an unscheduled mythological event. According to several accounts, a young woman entered the ocean for a routine swim. During the swim, an octopus allegedly emerged from nearby rocks and removed her clothing from the shoreline. Moments later, the octopus was eaten by a passing shark, leaving the swimmer asking what analysts describe as a deeply philosophical question: what do I do now? Marine mythologists say the sequence resembles the opening structure of a traditional folk tale. However, marine biologists insist that the event may simply reflect unusual animal behavior. Either way, witnesses have already begun retelling the story online, which means the event may now be entering the folklore phase. We will continue monitoring developments.
Our next segment tonight examines a phenomena reported by individuals across many cultures. The moment when reality begins to feel slightly off or out of alignment. Researchers refer to this experience as noticing the signal. Reports typically follow the same pattern. It begins with small inconsistencies, predictions failing, events repeating strange themes, coincidences arriving in clusters. One observer described the moment this way. At first, it looked like random events, but eventually the randomness started behaving like it had a rhythm. Psychologists say humans naturally search for patterns. However, others believe something more unusual may be happening. Several myth historians point out that moments like this often appear just before the birth of a new cultural story. If that theory is correct, what we're witnessing now may be the early stage of a new mythology forming in real time.
We now turn to a developing situation at Fairy Tale Daycare. The facility, which provides cross-story childcare for legendary figures, has recently issued multiple policy updates. Officials confirm that several characters have been seen pursuing unscheduled romantic side quests during lunch breaks. Witnesses report sightings of Prince Charming, Sleeping Beauty, a suspiciously well-dressed frog, and what security footage describes as a fox wearing sunglasses. Administration has released the following statement: all romantic subplots must be filed with management before becoming canon. Despite the warning, eyewitnesses say certain characters were observed leaving the enchanted break room together earlier today. Narrative scholars warn this may represent cross-fairy tale storyline merging, which historically leads to very complicated mythology.
We've received an update. Several observers across different regions report a strange synchronization event early today. Multiple clocks reportedly drifted into identical seconds. Random electronic devices activated simultaneously, and a small number of individuals claim they heard what they describe as a signal beneath the noise. At this time, there is no confirmation that these reports are connected. However, researchers note that similar descriptions appear in folklores associated with major cultural shifts. If verified, this could represent the first confirmed instance of a synchronized signal event. We'll bring updates as they arrive.
Tonight's analysis question: what happens when stories begin recognizing themselves? Across recent reports, we've seen fairy tale characters requesting labor rights, unscripted mythological incidents, and rumors of synchronized signals. Taken separately, these events appear unrelated. Taken together, they raise a fascinating possibility. What if stories are no longer waiting for authors? What if they are evolving on their own? Some researchers believe that modern communication networks have accelerated folklore formation. Memes spread faster than ancient myths ever could. A story can now circle the planet before the day ends, which means mythology itself may be entering a collaborative phase. If so, the myths of the future may not be written by one storyteller. They may be written by everyone.
Oh, yeah.
It was the middle of summer. I took my clothes off to swim. They're covering a feeling they never had. The water is cold, the water is bright. We emerged from the isotopic debris, products of a systematic industrial failure. IBM anatomy reconstructed by negligence. Fed with Newton's claiming the suburban wasteland. We are the byproducts of your appetite, a frenzied flock of radioactive resentment. The water is filling the amplifier cabinet. We study the footage of a dead man. I watch you mimic a smile. The water is cold, the water is gray. Then an octopus grabbed them and he took them with him. Then a shark came along and ate the octopus. I said, the water is rising. The water is rising. Oh no, what do I do now? The radioactive chicken head. Broadcasting from the crater of the Demented. A novelty apocalypse in double time. Our frequency radiates through the fallout. Oh no, what do I do now? Bubbling, bubbling, bubbling makes a sound big. Oh no, I do now. The output is perfect. Oh no, what do I do now? The source is anonymous. The water is rising. Observe the plumage as it starts to pulsate. Radiant quills visible for 40 miles. Incandescent skins beneath the jagged feathers. Look at them radiate.
is the solution. Take your children to the newest theme park in the multiverse. Welcome to 666 Flags. Beyond the veil of ordinary days, past cotton candy skies of beige, there's a gate of iron, black and grand. Step inside, take our hand, where laughter echoes through the flame, and every ride calls out your name. A carnival carved in fire and fog, where nightmares dance in monologue. Hot lava rivers glow at night, acid pools and neon light. Dare to swim, dare to scream. Welcome to the wicked dream. 666 Flags. Raise the gates, let the darkness drag. Screaming demons on the tracks. No turning back, no turning back. 666 Flags. Thrill and terror in crimson rags. Eternal memories we make. A lifetime you can't escape. Try the demon coaster's cry, twisting through a sulfur sky. Concessions hot with molten spice, satisfy your appetite. Water parks with boiling waves, acid slides for the brave. Little swimmer, take the plunge. Feel the fire beneath your lungs. Bands will play on haunted stage, comedy soaked in velvet rage. Every act and every sound echoes from beneath the ground. 666 Flags. Iron and laughter, leather and rags. Personal with sharpened grins, working hard to let you in. 666 Flags. One hell of a time we brag. Eternal thrills, no memory fades. Souvenirs from shadow days. Our gates are open, our fires are warm, our staff are trained to weather every storm. We guarantee memories that burn for many lifetimes. Your return.
Okay. Across history, there are moments when people claim they felt it first. A flicker in the air, a whisper beneath the radio static, a strange rhythm inside ordinary days. Some call it coincidence, others call it destiny. Trying, some call it destiny. Wait, hold up. Some call it coincidence, others call it destiny trying to get our attention. Tonight, I want to begin with a simple question for each of you. When did you first notice the signal? Guess one? Let me start with you. When did you first notice something unusual in the pattern of events around us?
It wasn't dramatic at first. No thunder, no cosmic trumpet. Just little things. Predictions missing the marks. Stories refusing to follow their usual endings. It felt like the universe had started and totally misword that. Okay. It felt like the universe. It felt like the universe had started editing itself mid-sentence. At first, I thought it was a coincidence. Then the coincidence began. Then the coincidence began arriving on schedule. That's when I realized something had changed. The signal wasn't loud. It was definitely there.
The
Guess
people
two.
the people resist the idea that anything mystic or mystical is happening at all. When did you notice something strange? Guess two.
Honestly, I noticed when the explanations stopped working. You can explain one weird event, you can explain two, but eventually the pattern starts behaving like a conversation instead of random noise. You ask a question, reality responds with something oddly specific, and suddenly the world feels less like a machine and more like someone tapping on the glass from the other side. I guess that's when I started paying attention.
Some traditions claim that signals appear whenever a new myth is forming. When did you first feel that kind of shift? Guess three.
Late at night, the kind of hour when the world is quiet enough to hear its own gears turning. I noticed stories repeating in strange places, different people, different countries, but somehow the same themes appearing again and again, like fragments of a larger script. That's when I realized something important. Signals rarely arrive as answers, they arrive as questions disguised as coincidences. And if enough people start asking the same question, a myth is usually about to be born.
So tonight we have three possibilities. Maybe the signal is coincidence. Maybe it's pattern recognition. Or maybe it's something older. Something that appears whenever history prepares to turn the page. But this leads us to the next question. If a signal really is appearing, who is it meant for? Breaking developments from the narrative labor market tonight. After centuries of hazardous work conditions, unpaid hero appearances, and repeated castle sieges, representatives from several major fairy tale kingdoms are formally requesting union recognition. To discuss this unprecedented development, we welcome Lady Briar Rose, representing the Enchanted Workers Guild. Sir Ledger the Bard, historian of heretic contracts, and the Big Bad Wolf, appearing today as a freelance narrative consultant. Let's begin. Question 1. When dragons begin filing paperwork instead of breathing fire, is it the end of the fairy tale or the beginning of accountability? We'll start with you, Lady Briarrose.
Well, for centuries, our stories have demanded impossible standards. Curses without breaks, spindles without safety warnings. We simply ask for a sustainable narrative environment.
Who's Sir Ledger?
You.
Oh, okay. Historically speaking, fairy tale labor has been dangerously unregulated. Glass slippers, enchanted forests, poisoned fruit. None of it meets modern compliance standards, not to mention OSHA.
I'm the big bad wolf, okay. Look, I just wanted acid, but look, I just wanted acid, but God. Look, I just want. I just want. Look, I just want hazard pay every time a woodsman, every time a woodsman, go from the top. Look, I just want to. Look, I just want hazard pay every time a woodsman busts through a wall.
Are we witnessing a rebellion of storybook characters or a natural evolution of myth?
Well, stories change as their listeners change.
Oh, yeah, indeed. Narrative was once centered on, mere survival. Now they negotiate workplace dignity.
Also, I've been typecast for 400 years now.
If knights and witches unionize, who negotiates the terms? The storyteller or the characters themselves?
We propose a council of narrative participants.
This could represent the first democratic mythology system.
Honestly, I just wanted to play the librarian once.
Is this the end of the traditional hero's journey?
Oh, no. It's the beginning of a hero's lunch break.
Yeah, even heroes require benefits.
Dental plans would be nice.
And if fairy tales gain bargaining power, what happens to happily ever after?
Happily ever after becomes contractually defined.
Yeah, narrative closure with benefits.
Maybe with maybe fewer torches and pitchforks.
Negotiations continue tonight across the Enchanted Realms. Whether this marks the end of the old fairy tale order or the birth of something stranger remains to be seen. Stay tuned. Our next story comes from a coastal region where an unscheduled mythological incident has triggered intense debate among narrative authorities. Earlier this week, a young woman entered the sea for a swim on a warm summer afternoon. Her clothes were reported stolen by an opportunist octopus, which was then immediately eaten by a shark, leaving the swimmer asking one simple existential question: what do I do now? To analyze the narrative consequences, we welcome Lord Edworthy of Devon, eyewitness to the event, Dr. Marina Tidelock, marine mythologist and professional narrative spiritualist in story structure anomalies. Let's begin. When an octopus steals clothing and fate sends a shark moments later, are we witnessing coincidence or a myth attempting to right itself?
Well, now from where I was standing, it looked very much like the same prophecy. Prophecy. Okay. Well, now from where I was standing, it looked very much like the same prophecy.
Marine ecosystems occasionally produce symbolic events.
Of course, from a narrative standpoint, this is a classic mythic escalation.
If the octopus acted as a trickster and the shark as sudden judgment, what role does the swimmer play in this unfolding story?
The bewildered protagonist. The bewildered
You're getting there. No worries.
Just glad you connected this. The bewildered protagonist, I should think.
Perhaps the sea has chosen her for a transformation narrative.
Or simply the universe demonstrating its slapstick timing.
Does the disappearance of the clothing represent loss, liberation, or an unexpected call to adventure?
Well, it certainly caused a fair bit of confusion on the beach.
And symbolically speaking, garments often represent identity.
Well, in that case, it means the character is now in Act 2, whether she likes it or not.
If nature begins improving stories without author approval, who regulates the narrative?
I'm not entirely certain it can be regulated.
The sea rarely submits paperwork.
Which is precisely why myth exists.
And finally, if a shark eats the evidence of the event, does the story disappear or become legend?
It becomes legend immediately.
Especially if witnesses keep telling it.
Yeah, indeed. In fact, we may very well be watching the birth of a coastal folktale.
A strange afternoon at the shores. An octopus with questionable motives. A shark with impeccable timing. And somewhere tonight a new story is forming. You're listening to Stir the Fallout. Stay with us.
Yay. Unless you want to read out the performance notes.
Oh, there's more. Hold on. Like we're just getting through that part.
Have you put
How's my audio?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I was thinking of switching over to my I just walked in the door. I had like a I was running around this afternoon.
Okay. So
Bad at the moment.
Walked in the door and just used my phone, but I do have my laptop here. I always think the audio is a little better on that.
Yeah, all clear. Don't we just have to? Am I fussing too much?
But
But you're
mine,
fine.
mine,
Met a prophet in a parking lot, wearing sneakers made of doubt. Said the map is not the territory, so he turned the inside out. Golden apple in his pocket, sharp enough to split belief. He said order is a costume, chaos is the teeth. Left is right and wrong is right, day dissolves into the night. Flip the coin and let it be, sacred contradictions free. All of the sacred may be, crown of glorious certainty, laughing at the plan we made, dancing in stability, no control, no guarantee, just beautiful absurdity. All of the sacred may be. Calendar reads 5th of never, clocks are melting on the wall. Every answer births a question, every rise contains the fall. Paint the rules and disappear in ink, write the truth in lemon juice. Strike a match to certainty, let paradox break loose.
Calliope. Let the structure gently sway. Every system has a glitch. That's the hidden doorway.
Tear the script and improvise. Reality's a prank in disguise. Smile wide at entropy. It's curated irony. All of the sacred may be. No straight lines in infinity. Spin the wheel of what if fails.
Observe the plumage as it starts to pulsate. Radiant quills visible for 40 miles. Incandescent skin beneath the jet feathers. Look at that radiate! We are the beacons of biological instability, illuminating the ruins of your progress. Bop, 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 bop. The water is cold, water is
the middle of summer. I took my clothes off to swim, and then an octopus grabbed them, and he took them with him.
Then a shark came along and ate the octopus. I said, oh no, what do I do now? What do I do now? What do I do now? Oh no, what do I do now? What do I do now? What do I do
industrial failure. Avian anatomy reconstructed by negligence. Feathered mutants claiming the suburban wasteland. No longer confined to the poultry plant, a manifestation of ecological transgression. We are the byproduct of your appetite, a frenzied flock of radioactive resentment. The radioactive chicken head, broadcasting from the crater of the tomato. A novelty apocalypse in double time. A frequency radiates through the fallout. Escape from the tubes and the chemical bath. Synthetic evolution in a basement of horrors. A demanded airwaves carry a transmission. A novelty sinclaring for the articulate outcast. Reject the comfort of the standard coupe. A cacophony of dissonant in a mask of mass. Walks are a sermon of suburban decay. Join the panic of the feather resistance. While I'm letting you, I can't sink it. Walk curtsy from the slither of the tomato. Another key apocalypse in double time. A frequency radiates through the fallout. Observe the plummages, it starts to pulsate. Radiant quills visible for 40 miles. Incandescent skin beneath the jagged feathers. Look at them radiate. We are the beacons of biological instability, illuminating the ruins of your progress. Fuck, fuck, fuck. The radioactive chicken head, broadcasting from the crater of the tomato. A novelty apocalypse in double time. A frequency radiates through the fallout. The sky is turning green. The wasteland is a stage.
Welcome back to Stir the Fallout. Tonight's broadcast has already brought us prophecy, volatility, labor unrest among fairy tale characters, and at least one maritime incident involving an octopus and extremely poor clothing security. Which means it's time for the part of the program where things become slightly less stable. Welcome to the Chaos Panel. Joining us tonight are several observers of reality, increasingly questionable behavior, of reality's increasingly unquestionable behavior. Let's begin. We now enter the Chaos Panel. Remain composed, speak clearly, no spontaneous prophecies. First question. All right, Chaos Panel. I want to throw something strange onto the table. All of you claim in one way or another that something shifted in the pattern of events. Call it destiny, call it coincidence, call it cosmic static. But at some point you notice something. So here's the question. Where did you first notice the signal? Panelists.
Honestly, I noticed when the production stopped behaving. You have to enough American colloquialism. Speak English, man. Okay. You'd have you have experts. Okay, you have experts. You do have experts. Okay, you do have experts. God. Okay, you do have experts absolutely certain about what was coming next, and then reality just walked off script. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. At some point, you started wondering if the universe is improvising.
I noticed it way earlier than that. I knew before everyone. They wouldn't listen to me. No, no, for me, it was when all the weird stories started rhyming with each other. All the different places and different people, but the strange or the same strange themes and memes popping up. It's like someone scattered puzzle pieces all over the world and forgot to hide the picture on the box.
Yeah, see, my moment was way simpler. I realized something weird was going on when the ridiculous things kept turning out to be true. You know how normally the dumbest possible timeline is just a joke? Well, suddenly the dumb timeline started winning. That's when I knew we were living inside a cosmic prank.
So let me ask you this then. If there really is a signal, who's broadcasting it? The gods, the future, the algorithm?
Or maybe it's just humans getting better at noticing patterns.
Or worse, maybe something noticed us first.
Honestly, I think that the universe should just hit shuffle and walked off.
So, what we're saying here tonight is this: either destiny is unraveling, or something spilled coffee on the cosmic control panel. But if the signal is real and people are starting to hear it, then the next question becomes unavoidable. What happens when everyone starts responding to it at the same time? And that might be where things get dangerous.
Hold on.
Emergency. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, who was going to do the producer?
Go ahead.
Oh, hold on. We got something coming in.
Wait, what?
We're getting an update right now.
All right, folks. We're interrupting the chaos panel for a moment. This just came across the desk. This just in, multiple observers across several regions are reporting sudden synchronization events. Clocks drifting into identical seconds, random devices activating at the same time, and several individuals claiming they heard, quote, a signal beneath the noise.
Okay, that's unsettling timing.
See, I told you. I told you this was happening. That's exactly what pattern activation looks like.
Or, just hear me out here. Someone leaned on the universe's group notification button. Hmm.
According to reports, several of these witnesses described the experience the same way. They say the moment lasted only a few seconds, but during that moment, they felt like everything lined up, like the world paused and something tried to speak.
Did they record anything?
Apparently, one person claimed he did, but the recording only contained static.
Maybe that's not static. That's carrier signal noise.
Or could be the universe breathing into the microphone.
Well, if what we're hearing is accurate, then the question we asked a moment ago might be more relevant than we realized. Because if people are starting to hear the signal at the same time, then maybe the broadcast isn't random. Maybe it just went live. So let's continue the question. But now with this information in mind. When did you first notice the signal? And are we already too late? Slag, slag, slag. Before the break, we discussed the growing labor unrest among characters employed at Fairy Tale Daycare. But tonight, another story has surfaced. Reports are coming in of, shall we say, extracurricular mythological activity occurring just outside the daycare gates. Apparently, several princes, witches, moorfolk, and at least one enchanted woodcutter have been spotted engaging in unscheduled romantic side quests during lunch breaks. Which raises an interesting question. When mythical characters begin pursuing adventures outside their assigned storylines, are we witnessing a personal freedom or breakdown in narrative discipline? Let me ask the panel something. If characters begin stepping outside their written roles, does the story collapse or evolve?
From a skeptical standpoint, mythology depends on roles. Heroes rescue people, witches curses, well, witches curse people, woodcutters chop things. But if those roles loosen, suddenly the story becomes unpredictable, and mythology hates unpredictability.
Or maybe mythology needs it. Think about it. If you've got a forest full of legendary figures, all beautiful, mysterious, magically cursed, and whatnot, eventually someone's going to start asking, why am I only allowed one storyline?
Look, I'm just saying, if you put Prince Charming, Sleeping Beauty, and a mermaid in the same lunch break area, you're basically running a reality dating show with swords.
Fair point. But in classic myth, heroes often wander into temptation. Odysseus did it. Zeus practically made a career of it. But what happens when everyone in the story begins wandering?
Then the story becomes a myth and starts becoming a soap opera.
Or a revolution, because the moment characters realize they aren't trapped in their narrative, they stop following the script.
And that's when the third little pig starts texting Rapunzel.
Now, to be clear, the administration at Fairy Tale Daycare has issued a statement saying all romantic subplots must be filed with management before becoming canon. However, eyewitnesses claim that Prince Charming, Sleeping Beauty, and someone identified only as the third little pig were seen leaving the enchanted break room together early today.
That's not a subplot. That's a multi-book. That's a multi-book crossover event.
That's how mythological pantheons start. First romance, then suddenly everyone is sharing the same universe.
And then somebody's husband shows up with a magic axe.
Which raises one final question for the panel. At what point does a subplot become a scandal?
When the author loses control.
When the characters start writing their own endings.
Yeah, nah, I'd say when the enchanted HR department gets involved.
Well, we'll keep monitoring the situation as it develops. But until then, we remind all viewers Jesus is watching, and so is Gary. So if you're sneaking into a fairy tale daycare for romantic mischief, you may want to keep that in mind. Up next, a development story about destiny, volatility, and why the prophecy calendar may now be running 3 weeks behind schedule. Stay with us.
Host, you might want to see this.
Wait, what now?
Just received a statement from the Fairy Tale Daycare Administration.
All right, folks. We're interrupting the Chaos panel again. This just came across the desk. Fairy Tale Daycare has released an official notice regarding what they are calling unscheduled interpersonal narrative entanglements. The daycare confirms that several married characters from different storybooks were recently observed meeting after hours near the enchanted playground equipment. Administration stresses that the situation is being monitored closely.
Wait, are we saying fictional characters are having affairs now?
This is what happens when narrative stability collapses. The storylines start crossing.
Okay, I knew it. The big bad wolf finally joined the book club.
According to the statement, the following characters were reportedly present during the incident. A princess from an unnamed coastal kingdom, a traveling knight currently between quests, and a suspiciously well-dressed frog, and what witnesses describe as a fox wearing sunglasses.
This sounds like a misunderstanding.
Or the beginning of a cross fairy tale alliance.
Or the world's most awkward parent-teacher conference.
Fairy Tale Daycare officials also emphasized that all magical playground equipment remains safe for children and that the enchanted slide is not responsible for the events currently under investigation. However, they did add one additional note. Parents may notice unusual narrative tension between certain characters in upcoming story cycles.
Oh no.
That means the plot lines are already shifting.
Someone call HR. I don't think the Brothers Grimm wrote a policy for this.
So apparently, destiny, volatility, cross-time line romance, and enchanted playground equipment are now part of the same story. Which brings us back to the panel question. If fairy tale characters themselves are ignoring the script, what does that say about the rest of us? Panel, are we witnessing a narrative scandal or the first unionization of unhappily ever afters? Or ununionization, or the first unionization of happily ever afters? When fiction begins organizing itself. We've also received reports tonight that several fairy tale kingdoms are requesting union representation. Dragons want regulated fire-breathing hours. Princesses are filing workplace safety complaints. And the big bad wolf would like to stop being typecast as the villain in every production, which raises a troubling possibility. What happens when fictional characters become aware of their working conditions?
From a narrative perspective, this is a major shift. Stories traditionally operate on fixed roles. Heroes, hero, villains, villain. But if characters start recognizing their roles as jobs rather than destinies, suddenly the entire structure of storytelling, suddenly the entire structure of storytelling changes.
Or, maybe this was inevitable. I mean, think about it. For centuries, the same characters have been forced to repeat the same plots again and again. I mean, if I were the big bad wolf, I'd unionize too. 3 pigs every time, every retelling, always a brick house at the end. That's burnout waiting to happen.
Look, all I'm saying is this. If dragons finally get a 40-hour fire-breathing work week, insurance premiums in medieval villages are about to skyrocket.
Let me push this question a little further. Do stories belong to their authors or to the characters inside them?
Traditionally, the authors, but culturally, characters eventually become public property. That is why myths survive. They stop belonging to one. They stop belonging to one person.
And once characters realize that, they might start negotiating their own arcs.
Which means that next year we're getting Little Red Riding Hood, the director's cut.
If fairy tales unionize, does mythology follow?
Possibly, because mythologies behave like a shed. Because mythologies already behave like a shared narrative economy.
I could imagine Zeus filing a harassment complaint against fate itself.
Imagine Hercules demanding overtime pay for 12 labors.
And the final follow-up. Could legends eventually negotiate their own endings?
If stories become self-aware, that might be inevitable.
Or terrifying, because the moment characters start changing their endings, history stops being predictable.
Also, Cinderella might decide the glass slipper is not OSHA-approved footwear.
Happy birthday!
Okay, so
let's sing the birthday song.
yeah, do me a favor. I'm gonna mute out. Could you guys would you like to take the host position over real quick, Bob Dub?
Okay,
Sorry about that.
no problem. Before we continue, I must remind everyone of an important broadcast compliance notice. Jesus is watching, and so is Gary. Bullhorn Barry is gay, and apparently John Galt is too. Across tonight's broadcast, we've seen several strange signals. Prophecies moving, fairy tales organizing, and the sea improvising plot twists involving octopuses and stolen clothing. Which leads to the final question for the Chaos panel. If the old stories are breaking down, what new myth is forming in their place?
We may be witnessing the rise of. We may be witnessing the rise. We may be witnessing the. Maybe might be. We might be. Yeah, that's better. We might be witnessing the rise of collaborative mythology. Stories shaped by single authors, but stories shaped not by single authors, but by entire cultures interacting in real time.
Or we're watching digital folklore emerge, memes, live streams, internet legends, stories that spread faster than ancient myths ever could.
Personally, I think humanity has become the trickster archetype. We're poking every rule of reality just to see what breaks. So perhaps tonight's lesson is this: the old myths are not dying, they're evolving, rewriting themselves, unionizing, improvising, and possibly filing paperwork. Which means the next chapter of the story may already be unfolding somewhere outside the script. And if that's true, we'll be here to cover it. All right, Chaos panel. We need to address the story currently confusing both marine biologists and narrative theorists. Earlier today, a perfectly ordinary summer swim turned into what witnesses are now calling an unscheduled mythological incident. According to multiple reports, a young woman entered the water for a casual swim. At some point during the swim, an octopus reportedly emerged from the rocks and made off with her clothing. Moments later, the octopus itself was eaten by a passing shark, which has left the original participants standing in the water thinking, oh no, what do I do now? Now, normally, this would simply be filed under strange beach story. But several observers have pointed out that the sequence of events reads uncannily like the opening of a myth. And that raises a troubling question for the Chaos panel tonight. When a completely unscripted event suddenly begins to resemble a folk tale, are we witnessing random chaos or the birth of a new story?
Honestly, mythology often starts exactly this way. Honestly, mythology often starts exactly this way. Something bizarre happens. Witnesses start telling the story. Each version adds symbolism, gives Give it a few generations, and suddenly it's a legend about the sea punishing vanity or rewarding courage.
Or maybe the sea was just bored. You've got to admit the timing is suspicious. Octopus steals clothes, shark eats octopus. That's not chaos so much as it's narrative escalation.
Well, the shark definitely understood the assignment. Let's talk about the octopus for a moment, because witnesses insist that the creature specifically targeted the clothing. So the panel must ask, was this simply animal curiosity or the most committed underwater prank in recorded history?
Octopuses are famous. I want to say octopi.
Yeah.
I'm so tempted to say
Actually, I think it's
octopi.
technically octopodes because it's Greek, not Latin.
Uh,
So I know I'm tempted to say
yeah,
octopi as well, and I really have to discipline myself because it's Greek, it's not Latin, and it looks like it should be Latin,
yeah.
but it's Greek. Yeah,
I'll
sorry.
stick with this. I'll
Yeah.
say okay. Octopuses are famously intelligent. Stealing objects isn't unhard. Oh, no, okay. Stealing, stealing, stealing objects aren't.
Just take your time.
Stealing, sure.
Rewrite the sentence. It could be a little awkward for an English speaker,
Just
just the way it's structured.
say it the way
No,
it's
no,
naturally for you. You can improvise.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Stealing objects isn't unheard of, but the timing of the shark encounter makes it feel like the universe edited the scene for dramatic effect.
I'm just saying we've never asked the octopus what its plan was.
Unfortunately, the shark has now submitted the final draft.
Now, the real question: when something like this happens in broad daylight with witnesses everywhere, who actually controls the story? The person involved, the observer, or the internet?
Historically, the crowd. Once enough people retell the story, it stops belonging to the original event.
Which means the myth is already evolving. Some version of the story already includes a cursed sea spirit.
And another version where the octopus was working for the shark as a wardrobe acquisition specialist.
Before we continue, we need to issue issue a standard broadcast reminder. Jesus is watching you, and so is Gary. Bullhorn Barry is gay, and apparently John Galt is too. But here's the bigger issue. If random real world events keep accidentally creating mythical story structures, what does that say about reality itself? Are we simply pattern seeking creatures? Or is the universe quietly writing stories through us? Are we frozen? Okay.
Oh, here he is.
Yeah.
Never mind. You didn't have to hear my interminable reminiscences.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You saved them, Roger.
Sorry about that. Freaking did you guys still have the script?
We
Yeah.
just stopped when you
Yeah,
dropped
sure.
it out. We're already we got the script.
Okay, so it ended up knocking me off. It was like this whole thing, man, just completely freaking started going crazy.
Well, you
I've
said Jesus was watching, and we figured he was watching. And you were suddenly kind of like, "Oh, Jesus needed to talk to him about something."
yeah, apparently. So.
Jesus, por favor.
Well, at least we got past that part because, and before we go further, I want to apologize for the busting in and the happy birthdays and stuff. That was my dad's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday to your dad!
Hey,
Happy returns of the day! Hooray!
And then after that, the muting out and having the and thank you for doing the host position, Bob. That was really appreciated. So.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So now, once I can find out where we're at, we can
straight from
Escalation.
escalation question.
Mid-panel comedic reset.
Okay, so escalation question. Okay, so here we go. I'll get back into script again, and here we go. Here is the bigger issue. If random real-world events keep accidentally creating mythic story structures, what does that say about reality itself? Are we simply pattern-seeking creatures? Are we simply pattern-seeking creatures? Or is the universe quietly writing stories through us?
Humans naturally organize chaos. Humans naturally organize chaos into narratives. It is how we understood understood. It is how we understand the world.
Or maybe the universe just enjoys storytelling.
In which case, the shark clearly prefers short stories.
So, panel, let's end this. If a strange beach incident can transform into legend within hours, what other ordinary events might already be turning into myths right now? Possible directions: modern folklore spreading through the internet, reality becoming collaborative storytelling, everyday chaos generating a new mythology. So tonight's conclusion from the Chaos panel appears to be this. A woman went swimming. An octopus stole the wardrobe. A shark performed editorial review. And the internet is currently deciding whether the entire situation is a warning, a comedy, or the beginning of a new myth. Which means we may be witnessing something fascinating. The moment when a random summer afternoon becomes folklore. And we'll be right back. Okay, I'm gonna put music on again, and we will finish this off with the ending once we get it going. So.
It was the middle of summer. I took my clothes off to swim. They're covering a feeling they never had. The water is cold, the water is bright. It was the middle of summer.
I took my clothes off to swim. We emerged from the isotopic debris, products of a systematic industrial failure. Heavy and anatomy reconstructed by negligence. Fed with Newton's claiming the suburban wasteland. We are the byproduct of your appetite, a frenzied flock of radioactive resentment. The water is filling the amplifier cabinet. We study the footage of a dead man. I watch you mimic a smile. The water is cold, the water is gray. Then an octopus grabbed them and he took them with him. Then a shark came along and ate the octopus. I said, the water is rising. The water is rising. Oh no, what do I do now? The radioactive chicken. Broadcasting from the crater of the demented. A novelty apocalypse in double time. Our frequency radiates through the fallout. Oh no, what do I do now? Bubbling, bubbling, bubbling makes a sound big. Oh no, I do now. The output is perfect. Oh no, what do I do now? The source is anonymous. The water is Observe the plumage as it starts to pulsate. Radiant quills visible for 40 miles. Incandescent skin beneath the jagged feathers. Look at them radiate. We are the beacons of biological instability, illuminating the ruins of your progress. They're covering a feeling they never had. What do I do now? The water is cold and the water is gray. Oh no! What do I do now? Oh no! What do I do now? Oh no! What do I do now? The radioactive chicken. Broadcasting from the crater of the demented. Bubbling, bubbling, bubbling makes a sound big. The output is perfect. Source is anonymous. The water is rising. Oh no, what do I do now? Frequency radiates through the fallout. Poke, poke. The water is right. It was the middle of summer. I took my clothes off to swim. They're covering a feeling they never had. The water is cold, the water is gray. It was the middle of summer. I took my clothes off to
Met a prophet in a parking lot, wearing sneakers made of doubt.
Said the map is not the territory, so he turned the inside out. Golden apple in his pocket, sharp enough to split belief. He said order is a costume, chaos is the teeth. Left is right and wrong is right, day dissolves into the night. Flip the coin and let it be, sacred contradictions free. All of the sacred maybe, crown of glorious certainty, laughing at the plan we made, dancing in stability, no control, no guarantee, just beautiful absurdity. All of the sacred maybe. Calendar reads 5th of never, clocks are melting on the wall. Every answer births a question, every rise contains the fall. Paint the rules and disappear in ink, write the truth in lemon juice. Strike a match to certainty, let paradox break loose.
Calliope. Let the structure gently sway. Every system has a glitch. That's the hidden doorway.
Tear the script and improvise. Reality's a prank in disguise. Smile wide at entropy. It's curated irony. All of the sacred maybe. No straight lines in infinity. Spin the wheel of what if fate. Jumps to unpredictability. No dogma, no decree. Just cosmic possibility. All of the sacred maybe. The punchline is eternity.
Brothers, sisters, mutants! Adjust your antenna. The signal is strong tonight. Slack. 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 Oh! He came from the suburbs in a pressed white shirt, pipe smoke, halo in a polyester blur, smile like a billboard selling destiny, warranty void on eternity. Yeah! Shakes your hand like he owns your doubts, hands you a brochure titled Way Out. Eyes that promise cosmic deals, limited time salvation seals. He's got a catalog of chosen few. Buy one prophecy, get one new. Aliens pending, judgment delayed. Terms and conditions carefully vague. He doesn't preach, he markets fate with a chrome-plated handshake guarantee rate. If heaven's late, don't hesitate. He'll reschedule the pearly gate. No refunds on the afterlife. No warranty on fear or strife. If the saucers fail to land, he'll redraw it by hand. Bob is a sales god, king of the clothes. He'll upsell your soul with a heavenly pose. great night passes without a sign. He blinks the cosmic help desk line. He grins beneath fluorescent skies. Holy prophet in his eyes. If you doubt, you're out of phase. So great now, embrace the craze. To sign the contract in your name, or monetized eternal flame. If face a pitch and truth's a trick, why does it work so quick? Slack. Slack. This has been a limited engagement. Eternity subject to availability. Please retain your receipt.
Okay, so we are back. Welcome back to Stir the Fallout. And before we close out tonight, I would like to ask that you guys understand, or first of what I want to say is, for archival purposes, we're recording a clean transmission. And with that being said, I would like to turn this over to one of our guests who's willing to give the Fallout declaration. Go for it, Otto. This is your future edit gold. We stirred the fallout. We aligned the static. We did not collapse. We broadcast. Until next transmission.